Hello, welcome to Senior's Last Word. 18 years ago, Arsenal and Manchester United were the quintessential example of how to manage English clubs. They were everybody's dream. Nobody attracted the fan base as wide and as far-reaching as Arsenal and Man United. They developed a rivalry in English football that made many believe that it is the fiercest rivalry in the history of English football. It wasn't, but during that period, everybody started believing it was. And they had every reason to. But today, Arsenal and Man United are not only clubs that everyone would love to forget. That is as far as their previous performance were concerned, but there is no answer to the question. What happened to these two clubs? The departure of Arsene Wenger and the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson. Could it be the cause of what we are seeing at United and at Arsenal? Today, we look at whether there are reasons that are similar to both setup of clubs, or it's just the era that defines who is and who isn't in modern football. It's the era of Manchester City, Liverpool, and perhaps you can slot in Chelsea. The era of Arsenal and Man United. Is it past us? Will we live to see any such times again when Arsenal and Man United have returned to the pinnacle of the English game? Maybe or maybe not. Is Arsenal and Man U the teams that we all want to see again? Or have fans moved on? Have they got new fan bases? Are they following different clubs? Or are Arsenal fans and Man United fans sitting on a time bomb? By the way, if a big club anywhere in Europe were to buy players from the English Premiership, would clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Juventus go for a player at United or Arsenal? Is it plausible to think so? Or is that a forgotten period? Because that would define where these two clubs stand today. So what happened to the two clubs? What went wrong? As we speak, the two are fighting for a top 4 finish. For the moment, Arsenal looks best placed. With 9 games to go, they are ahead of Manchester United and also Spurs as well. But the fight is on and it could be anybody's game. But when did it start? How did we get to this point where Arsenal and Man U are not fighting for top or second best anymore? They're fighting to finish in the top 5. What is the reason? Where is the problem? What is the hope of an Arsenal fan, an Arsenal or Man United fan? Looking at the two teams, it's easier to look at the top people, and that is the coaches. Mikel Arteta, Ralph Rangnick. Could they be the solution? Or are they part of the bigger problem? Well, from me, Senior, I just want to make a few suggestions and bring up a theory or two for you to consider and think about. Because I think that the problem at these two clubs is simple. They not have the ambitions anymore that they used to have. And something more than that, the ambitions of these two clubs, were they club ambitions or were they ambitions of the men who were at the helm at the time? Was it a model that Sir Alex Ferguson built and with his departure off it went? Was it a model that Arsene Wenger built at Arsenal such that by the time he left, he went with his dream and with his model? I want to believe that was the case. And even worse, neither of these two managers had any intentions of having successors who would push their dreams forward. That is why they didn't leave a plan B in place. They didn't prepare anyone to take over. They didn't help the club to prepare for their future departure. That for me leads me to think that it is the real problem. While for years, for decades, you praised Arsene Wenger, you praised Sir Alex Ferguson if you were United or Arsenal, and yes, they're responsible for all the success, little did you know that these two were selfish managers whose only interest was to build their own brands, their own legacy, and for that, they did not prepare these teams for their departures. All they wanted to live and reverberate throughout history at these clubs were their names, their brands, their reputations. And right now, they don't even care. It doesn't matter that you see Alex Ferguson in the stands every day, and once in a while, you hear Arsene Wenger make a comment or two about Arsenal. They just did not care. That is why in the final years of Arsene Wenger, what he focused on was to just sell the club's best players, the world-class players. And once they were all gone, Arsene Wenger never made an attempt to replace them. He now changed the language. He was talking about youth, about young talent, that being the future of Arsenal. And yet, during his time, during the successful periods of Arsene Wenger and Arsenal, that is, in as far as winning the Premiership is concerned, he only had world-class stars. So where did he get the idea that after that spell, it is the youngsters who would take up that space and bring the glory back to Arsenal? He knew they wouldn't, but it was deliberate. Arsene Wenger, that's his story. Sir Alex Ferguson, similar story. Yes, his was to build from inside, from within. The youngsters he found, he touched them, gave them a touch of class here and there, trained them, brilliant. In the end, he made good. Once they all came through, the Beckhams, the Nicky Butts, everyone, the Neville brothers, everyone who came through there at some point really became the backbone of Sir Alex Ferguson. But he did something better. He used to bring in a world-class player, one or two at least every season, to complement what he already had, because his was about winning, was about Manchester being on top. And he did that very, very well. Today, you look at the model and you don't understand what Manchester United is all about. So which player, if any, can you buy at Arsenal today if you are a big club looking to strengthen, whether in England or outside England? Arsenal first. I think for me, the only player where some good money could be put on the table, and realistically so, would be Bukayo Saka. Young man, his talent not questionable. Big game player. He drops his head because he's a young man. But he's a player, if you think he can go better, you can give him a platform, and I think his quality is good enough to probably join a team that is looking to build not just for today, but for tomorrow. Can Real Madrid buy Saka? I don't think so. Can Barcelona do so? Maybe, maybe not, because they believe in youth. In England, can Manchester City buy? I think so. But at the current rate, the way they're playing, Saka, Bukayo, joining them, you think the philosophy of the manager could probably think about it, but just to think about it, not to put the big man on the table. Can Liverpool do so? Maybe, because Liverpool is another that has room for young talent. What about Barcelona? Okay, if you don't want Barcelona, let's look at Atletico Madrid, the second-rate big team in Europe. Maybe Bayern Munich. Could Bayern Munich be the one? I don't think so. So who would go for Bukayo Saka? No one. And for me, he's the only player who is buyable at Arsenal. What a sad story. Man U, the big names, the reputations, the brands are all there. CR7, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, David De Gea, the leaders in terms of reputations. But if someone wanted to buy a player from Man U today, and you are Barcelona, Bayern, Real Madrid, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Liverpool, Man City, would you buy a player from Manchester United today? Ask yourself that question. I don't think so. CR7, 37 years, his sell debt passed by. Bruno Fernandes, too inconsistent, too unpredictable. Jadon Sancho, he was bought for big money from Dortmund, totally failed to re-establish himself at Manchester United. Great talent, but with the promise in terms of application and fulfillment, zero. Rashford, he's gone. Probably one of the hottest English prospects 3 years ago. Today, he's finished. David De Gea, experienced goalkeeper, a good season this time round, bad season last. Could he? No. So this is the real story of Manchester United and Arsenal Football Club. Is that today, not a single player in both two clubs can attract the attentions of the big clubs anywhere in England or in Europe. That's sad, because the players at these clubs were the players that everyone used to point to in the past. How sad is that? Extremely sad. Is there any wonder then that they are now perennial fighters for Champions League place or European place? Doesn't surprise me. So as we look at them struggling to again fight for a place in the top 4 finish this season, who do you think is going to nick it? Will it be Arsenal or Man U? Don't forget, there is still Spurs in the picture, and of course, there is West Ham. Do you think Man U will beat Arsenal to that place? I don't know. Could both actually be out? Remember, as we speak, Arsenal did not make any of the top 6 places. They did not make the top 7. So they did not even play in Europe. Very, very sad. It's been the story over the last 5 seasons. Either they play in Europa League, or as we saw this season, they simply don't qualify. Could that happen again for the 7th successive season? Man United did well last season to qualify for the Champions League. They're out now. And as we speak, they're not in any competition. Finishing top 4 is their only hope. Will they do it? I don't know. That is how sad. You can't even put the big money anymore on either Arsenal or Man United. How sad is that? And by the way, just this season, are you happier with Manchester United's performance this season or with Arsenal's performance this season? In the last 2 months, definitely you could go for Arsenal, who have been putting up good results after another, until that defeat to Liverpool. They were the informed team outside Liverpool, posting good results, playing good football, showing the resilience, the fight, the battle of a relatively young team, the one that they have, and playing good football. The kind that probably was reminiscent with the football they played in the Thierry Henry days. But you can only do so much in the Premier League. You can't do much better with a young team as the one that Arsenal has. You can't compete for the big prizes. You could get 1-2 good results. You could upset a big team here and there, but you can't. And then remember, this season, what has happened when Arsenal has met a real big team, one that we are looking to today? What has happened when Manchester has done the same? Manchester and Arsenal have played Liverpool. They've played Chelsea. They've played Man City. Just look at the performances against those teams this season. Humiliated Manchester United were by Liverpool. Same story when they faced Man City, because City and Liverpool are now the pace setters, they're the trend setters, they are the yardstick, the benchmark. Totally washed Manchester United out. Arsenal, at their very best, when they're in form, on good form, out of all other competitions, they faced a Liverpool team that is chasing titles on all fronts. What happened when the best and informed Arsenal came up with the informed and very good Liverpool side? Again, the Arsenal's best was not good enough. People, that is where Arsenal and Man U are today. Not much better. So the question today, just how longer can Arsenal fans and Man U fans stand this? Should they get used to the fact that these teams are no more? Should they have hope that 2-3 seasons from now, maybe things will change? Or should they accept, like Liverpool did some time ago, that it's not our time anymore? It's the time to suffer, the time to be down. Is it that time? Going into next season, looking forward to the summer window, do you think Manchester and Arsenal are going to dig deep and delve into the transfer market and bring the class of players and the caliber of players we see at Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool? Do they have the bottle anymore? They have the money. We do know that. But why are they not spending the money? They used to spend the money. Why are they not spending the money? Something changed at those clubs. What was it? What is it? Is it the vision of the owners? Is it something wrong in the boardroom? At Arsenal, we know it is. Their interest is making money, it's business. Football on the ground and success is no longer part of their world. Could that be the reason? But for Man United, the Glazer brothers, the Glazer family, what's happening there? They invested money to make money. What about the football side of the club? Did they just completely abandon it? Who is responsible? They're still now thinking about coaches. Who do we bring in? Who do we bring in? Ragnick was just a temporary solution, was a stand-in, was transitional. So who do we bring in? And that's one of the critical questions as I end this video today. Who is that coach? Who can go at United and change things the way Klopp did at Liverpool and transform the club the way Guardiola transformed Man City? Who is that man? Does he even exist? Do those coaches even exist? You've got to understand Man U to be able to transform them. You've got to understand Arsenal to be able to change and transfer them. But what do they stand for these days? That's the problem. What does Manchester United, the institution, the club, stand for in football terms? What do they want? What's their vision? No one knows anymore, and that's the problem. So they can't recruit the right coach, they can't buy the right players, because you've got to know that the coach must fit in the club's philosophy and club vision in order to transfer that to the players, and then everyone buys into it and they move forward as one. It's not happening at Man U, it's not going to happen in the next 3-4 years, and that's exactly what's happening at Arsenal. Arsenal are just comfortable having their team competing at what level? At the level of playing in Europe, at the level of being in the top 4. So they will not go and put the big money for the very big players, because that's probably now a battle high for them. If you are an Arsenal fan and you're a Man United fan, that's what you need to understand. While you are there thinking and hoping that one day, one of these days, these clubs are going to return to the top where they used to be, unfortunately, the clubs you support in the boardroom, that's not their thinking. For whatever reason, whatever it is that put them here, I come back and end with the same accusation. I do firmly believe that Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger were so selfish, thinking about their legacy. They never had an intention on transferring the transition to their successors. So they died with their philosophy and with everything they did, because their names must remain the names at those two clubs. And that, for me, is the problem with Arsenal and Man United. And for me, from Aldrin Senior, that's my last word. Nice weekend.